are back again. You're with me, Amaya, Anupama, and Sharanya in the studio. Today we have a very interesting discussion about Unity Missions Trust and what they do to change the Sri Lankan future. We were discussing about the camps that's happening regularly every year. And Amaya has a very interesting question about Ekamutu Orei Makkal.
Yeah, which is the Unity Missions Trust. We just
So Ekamutu Orei Makkal.
Yeah.
That's the whole name of that's the official full name. So Ekamutu is Sinhalese for unity. Orei Makkal is Tamil for one people, and Unity Mission Trust
is what's in English. So these are for children who are aged from
15 to 19.
15 to 19.
That is the primary age group that we work with.
Okay, and that's where they can really absorb what's happening around them, and
it's a perfect age because they're young enough that they're not impressioned too much, but they're old enough that they can actually really absorb what we're saying and carry on these relationships on their own, rather than very young children who need the organization they can facilitate these on their own and take it forward. So it's really a perfect age to work with.
Shara, you told us before while we were discussing the whole UMT thing before the show began that you used to have camps twice a year.
Yeah, originally camps were twice a year. Now that they're so large and the organization itself has grown, and there are so many consecutive projects that are going on. For example, now the next camp is in September in Tangol, but before that we will be going to Kandy in February for a one-day refresher program, and then we will also be going to Mana and Vaunia in early April. So we do smaller programs as well to widen our range now. So main flagship event camp has been put for 1 year, once a year rather.
So during all of these camps,
you go ahead.
During all of this, I was wondering, have you been bitten by the travel bug as well during this time? I mean, you've been traveling all over the country at this point, and you've seen a lot more than just Colombo and its suburbs.
Yeah, it's an incredible. Well, I mean, I was very fortunate that growing up, my parents, rather than taking us abroad constantly, they're very determined that we see as much of Sri Lanka as possible. So I have seen a lot of Sri Lanka, and then through camp, I'm getting to see North, and it's a different side of the country that you see, because you're not traveling as a tourist, so to speak. You're seeing it, you're working at grassroots levels, you're working with the people who live there and work there, and whose lives are here. So it's fairly amazing, and it's a completely different side you see to the country. So it's really exciting, and I love it.
You mentioned to us before that you fell in love with Jaffna.
I fell in love with Jaffna. I'm in love with Jaffna. Both my parents are actually originally from Jaffna. My father spent most of his holidays of his childhood there. He studied in Jaffna College for a while, so he has very strong ties there. And I think we all went, so my sisters and I all went together for the first trip, and we weren't I was very excited to go. I'd been dying to go, and it's difficult to explain, but I don't know, maybe it was the thing of that's your roots, that's where you come from, or maybe it was just it was such a beautiful place, but it just clicks immediately, and I loved it. I absolutely loved Jaffna. I cannot wait to go back.
And because of the work that you do, I mean, the opportunities you have to go back are
vast.
Great. Yes, but you also have your own blog.
Yes.
Now, it's called My Little Pink Notebook.
It's seen name changes from time to time.
Has it? How did it originally start out?
I can't remember the original name. I was 16 and angsty, and
I see.
And I thought I was a writer. Blog, and then for a while it was Colors of My World. And then what happened was, I think it was 2010 or 2009, I had this actual little pink notebook that I did a lot of scribbling in. So, and that's also when the blog took a turn, my writing took a turn, and became more specific and more grown up. And so then I renamed the blog My Little Pink Notebook, and though the original Little Pink Notebook has now been laid to rest, it lives on. It lives
on form.
It lives on the internet.
You told us before that your mother has been saving your writing since you were 14 years old.
Yeah, she has all these essays I wrote for English and things.
And my mom
is, she has all these files. It's incredible.
Wow.
I really hope my kids don't expect that someday.
You should let them see this interview on YouTube.
I know, but it's not going to happen for you.
I decided a long time ago that this is not going to happen for you.
So, not recently. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was reading some of the work I had. I mean, it was essays for exams or something, and I was actually pretty surprised with the depth of my writing at 13, 14. Yeah, I was like, wow, either I watched way too much TV or I read way too much, but some of them were very intense pieces, actually.
But you did read a lot.
I did. I'm a voracious reader. My whole family is. We're all voracious readers. I will read anything and everything.
I see.
I'm one
Tell
of
us a little story that happens in bookstores. Okay, listen to this. It's very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
What happens in bookstores?
I'm also very
Sharanya is
taken up by this story. So
Yeah.
growing up, my father was very insistent that I read all the classics, and to this day I'm very grateful to him, because you see all these references to amazing classics like Moby Dick and all that in popular culture. 80% of people my age don't know that it's a Moby Dick reference, and I'm like, how? So growing up, I'm one of those people who can also read what is termed rubbish or pulp fiction.
Yeah. I see.
Okay. So we'd go to bookstore.
Every girl goes to that phase.
Yeah.
Every girl goes to the phase. Oh, some boys.
Some boys.
Interesting.
I have seen boys who read Princess's Diaries. Just saying.
Okay.
No
I won't
judgment.
mention names. But so we used to go into bookstore, and I'd make a deal with my dad. He'd say, okay, I'll buy you the rubbish book and the classic, but you have to read the classic, and then I'll give you the rubbish. So through that, I read Mutiny on the HMS Bounty, Swiss Family Robinson, Tom Sawyer, all these classics I read in order to get to these rubbish. And then, but in hindsight, I really appreciate that because now my taste in reading has matured severely.
Yes. And that influences your writing as
Oh,
well.
massively.
Yeah.
So when you write your blog, I mean, what are the interesting things that come out while you're in front of your computer typing out the blog, and what are the posts that have really gone viral? Because I know that some of your posts have gone viral.
Yeah.
Actually, this
It's been
last
amazing.
year.
Yeah, I know. You think that you get one chance to go viral a year. Apparently not.
She went viral twice. This internet, I tell you.
Thanks, universe. One of the pieces that actually got my blog a lot of attention subsequently was this piece called Being Sri Lankan.
Yes.
So I wrote it in February of this year when there was a lot of unrest happening.
Last year.
Last year. I keep forgetting it's 2014 now. And it was essentially prose, so to speak, which was to me a collection of things that to me represented Sri Lanka and what it meant to be Sri Lankan. And I just posted it, and then I didn't anticipate the sort of following or the attention, the reaction that it would get. In fact, it had circulated on email as anonymous, and a lot of people sharing it as anonymous. So it was amazing.
So you're not even aware about how many people have actually read your
I actually have no idea. I have the official figures of like a few things I was able to track, which that in itself came to over 1,000.
Wow.
But I have no idea, because I know a lot of people, a lot of family friends came and said, "Was that your piece? Like we got it on email and it was anonymous." And I was like, how did it get there? I had friends who forwarded it to me and said, "You should read this." I'm like, yeah, okay. So it was incredible, and then the blog got a lot of attention. But that's one of the pieces. There's another piece I wrote at the end of this year, which also got a surprising amount of attention, which was lessons I had learnt in 2013.
Okay.
And these were, little things that I had picked up, like, understanding that everyone has something to teach. It was very more philosophical piece, which also got a lot of attention. Posts about Toastmasters among the Toastmaster community have gotten a lot of attention. So it's
a bit of a mini celebrity in the circles here, and as well as abroad, of course. But I mean, you always have positive criticism and positive response, I should say, and then there are always the naysayers who will point fingers and say, what do you say, you don't know what you're talking about. Have you had that kind of reaction as well to what you've posted?
Amaya, I think I've been incredibly fortunate in the reaction that my work, any of my work, has gotten, whether it's been speaking or whether it's been writing. Yes, I've had criticism, but it's always, so far, touch wood, been positive criticism. The kind of criticism where people come and say, "Okay, that's great, we appreciate what you're doing, but here's what we think."
Right.
I've yet to
It's all constructive.
It's all constructive, and I've yet, I braced myself for it because people kept telling me, you're going to get people who are going to be very vicious and attack you. And yes, there have been one or two, but not to the extent that I've seen other people kind of face.
I see.
So I've been very fortunate, and I think my time is overdue. So I'm waiting for the next one.
Well, you're doing an interview right now on Good Morning Sri Lanka, and I think everyone's going to love you, and they'll understand why no one is saying anything mean to her, because she's just such a nice person. We will speak it some more to Sharanya, but we're going for a very short break now, so let's go and see you right down the side.